So I'm here with Mrs. Corolla. I believe it's your first time going to Fallingwater.
Yes, it is.
First time on this trip, of course.
Yes, it is. I've never been to Fallingwater at all.
Wow. So what's your biggest anticipation of this trip?
I'm really looking forward to learning more about architecture. I know nothing about architecture, so this will be a learning experience.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. An architecture field trip.
That's right.
Hi, I'm Leah Gators here with Brian Mantone. Brian, what are you most looking forward to today as part of the trip?
Well, first of all, I'm looking forward to seeing Fallingwater. I've seen so many pictures of it, and I've learned a lot about it. And finally see it's gonna be cool. And then I'm excited to see Nemacolin Resort too, because that seemed really extravagant. So those two things, most of everything.
My name's Tyler and welcome to Fallingwater. Now, Fallingwater historically was the weekend home for the Edgar J. Kaufman family of Pittsburgh. This is Edgar Kaufman Sr. He had a wife named Lillian and they had one child, Edgar Kaufman Jr. By the 1930s, Mr. Kaufman Jr. is in his 20s. He decided that he wanted to go study under Frank Lloyd Wright at the Taliesin Fellowship in Wisconsin, his architecture and design school. When the parents go to visit their son, they meet the architect. Bond of friendship forms. No surprise they'll ask him to design the new weekend retreat. Now what they're asking for is a nice simple $20,000 to $30,000 cabin in the woods. What do you think? Not too shabby, huh? Now unfortunately that's not what they got. They were very surprised when they saw this design in 1935, but at the same time very thrilled. They absolutely loved the design. They wanted to get started as soon as possible. Kaufman family found this home to be much more than a house. It was really a work of art to them, and they knew one day they would want to share it with the public. The house itself was really only used for sleeping, eating, entertaining guests. Most of their time was spent in the outdoors. Frank Lloyd Wright doesn't want you looking at the waterfall. He feels that if you're looking at it constantly, you'll grow bored with it, you'll get used to it. It's just going to become another part of nature, which is one of the main reasons he shocked the Kaufman family by putting the house on top of the waterfall. Now the Kaufmans were very surprised with this idea, but they really enjoyed it. And when Frank Lloyd Wright explained why, they enjoyed it even more. You see, the sound acts as a temptation, pulling you out of the house to find the waterfall, and then when you see it, it's as though you're seeing it for the first time. Now what I really want you to do, just take in the sound of the waterfall. Imagine you're Mr. Kaufman. It's been a rough week at work and all you want to do is come here, relax. You lay down in that bed, close your eyes. Remember what the Kaufmans were asking for. $20,000 to $30,000 cabin in the woods. Now they did get this grand masterpiece of architecture, widely considered one of the greatest modern architecture pieces of the 20th century, and in fact Architectural Forum rates it at #1 of modern architecture of the 20th century. Regardless of what Frank Lloyd Wright was providing, this to them was always their weekend retreat. They were coming here to get in touch with nature, and they're going to outfit it to be rustic and modest. That's how they wanted to live, and that's how we see it presented today. That's how the Kaufmans really wanted to live.
here at the NBL, we just finished touring the Kentucky Outhouse. Dana, what are your thoughts on Mr. Wright and his design?
I really liked the hexagonal grid of the house. I think that was absolutely gorgeous, and I really like how Mr. Wright had it his way and only his way. It was a really gorgeous house. I enjoyed it.
This is the original lobby that was owned by the Rockwell family. S. Kent Rockwell owned it for a short period of time. It was started off as a hunting lodge with about 11 rooms above us, and then over the years the Hardys purchased it in the late 80s, added on the annex portion, which we've just been in, and then the chateau portion was added about 12 years ago.
Welcome, we're glad to have you with us. My name is Bob Page. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at the William Penn. And just to tell you a little bit about the hotel was built by Henry Clay Frick, and he wanted it to be the most opulent hotel really in the country at the time that he built it. So there were some firsts that occurred in this hotel. One of them was, it was one of the very first hotels that had private baths in the guest rooms. When you look at the architecture of the building, he actually fashioned this hotel after several of the hotels that he saw in Europe. He used to travel a lot for business, and he fashioned this hotel after some of the most opulent hotels that he either saw or stayed at when he traveled to Europe on business. So again, a really, really neat room. This is a very popular wedding site, as you can imagine. It's probably one of the more popular. We did 94 weddings last year. How much is the minimum? I'll let you guys guess that you have to spend to have this room. How much? $40,000. Okay? So you got to have a $40,000 spend to have this room on a Friday or Saturday for a wedding. We actually turn people away. I mean, it's a very popular room.
The steel industry is what really made the power of Pittsburgh. We're called the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everything's about Three Rivers and steel. Right there, that's the U.S. Steel building. It says UPMC at the top. That is 64 stories high, the highest building in the city of Pittsburgh. And when it was built, it was the highest building between New York and Chicago.
So across the way here is our jail. It's connected to the courthouse by this thing above us called the Bridge of Sighs.
H.H. Richardson, the architect, at that point in time was the most renowned architect in the United States. He won the contest to become the builder of this particular building. His style, they call it Richardson Romanesque. But he takes the older Gothic style and then makes it his personally.
The chapel was finished and dedicated in 1938. 1938 was less than 20 years before women got the right to vote. And you probably have heard some talk nowadays that women are not treated equally as men, although we're making great strides now. But for a building in the 30s to consider having equal numbers of men and women is quite rare.
The program that these rooms are proof of has been around since 1926. The Nationality Rooms program was started when this building was being designed, and it was done as an effort to bring the life of the Pittsburgh community into the campus life. This campus was underrepresented with the various ethnic groups of Pittsburgh. And so perhaps if there were nationality rooms that represented the things that these people brought to Pittsburgh as immigrants, those students might want to come here as Pitt students. So we have 30 rooms, and over the years, more and more rooms have been built. So let's head upstairs, and as we're going through the first few rooms, I'll give you a little bit more background about why this program exists and some of the features that tie all of the rooms together. This is the Korean Heritage Room. And we're going to find that title applied to a variety of rooms. It's not a nationality room. Because of North Korea and South Korea being politically not unified, they decided to harken back to a time period when the Korean Peninsula was joined. So this room is a copy of a room known as the Myeongdong, or the Hall of Enlightenment. And it was basically a classroom. The area back here, the alcove, represents stepping out into the courtyard of the entire complex. This is the most expensive nationality room. And one of the reasons why it was so expensive was because they brought a team of Korean carpenters from Seoul to live here this past summer to put the room together. This room, like the later Japanese room that I hope to take you to, is a freestanding room. These beams are not bolted or screwed together. They're simply laid on top of each other. So this room is really nestled within the existing cathedral of learning. Okay, so this one is one of the smaller classrooms. It's the Armenian room. It was dedicated in 1988. Now, I'll say this several times through our tour, the dedication year. These were all fundraised and planned by an outside committee. And when this community of people declared that they wanted to have a nationality room, they had to prove that they had the viability as a community to stay together for what would usually be a decade of fundraising. Now, this particular room has to conform to the rules of all the other rooms. It must function as an educational room. So there's student seating, there's an area for the professor, and there's an area to convey knowledge. There are also rules about the appearance of the architecture. The rooms must appear in an architectural style that predates Pitt's founding. And so everything we see today is going to be the 18th century or older in its appearance. Now this is particularly ancient because this room is based upon a 10th through 12th century monastery. Armenia was the first nation on the planet to adopt Christianity as its state religion, and that was done in 301. Behind the Christmas tree, that date is carved below a cross. So the Armenian church is extremely ancient. This is the Japanese room, dedicated in 1999. And these homes were built around Kyoto. Now, Kyoto and all of Japan is subject to earthquake tremors. So houses like this were built, similar to how I showed you in the Korean room, with wood that was fitted together. It could sway a bit if there was a tremor. So they would never bolt things or nail things together. This room was built entirely in Kyoto and taken apart like a big Lego set, put into a shipping container, brought to Pittsburgh, and put back together in one summer with 3 carpenters. If you can take a look at this end of the Ushabari beam, it's the main load-bearing beam for the room. There's a hip joint where it's carved into its perpendicular beam, but it also has a mortise and tenon, so it snaps into that. And then above that are pieces of bamboo. These homes were often multi-story homes, and so this allowed the heat and the moisture to rise through the stories to the upper levels.
It's the 12th year of the Fallingwater trip. Mr. Didra, how do you think this year went?
12th year, wow. I thought this was great. We had incredible weather. This time of year, it was beautiful. Kids were great, as always. I had a good time, and my favorite part, really, of the whole trip is watching all of you have a good time along the whole trip. So I think everything went great. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm here with Mikey Simmons. Mikey, what was your favorite part of the trip?
My favorite part of the trip was definitely today's events, going to the Cathedral of Learning and Pitt and touring the campus, because it all stood for, a lot more than what Fallingwater and all that stands for. with most of us being seniors and going to college next year, you know, it's cool to have something like that on a campus that students can interact with and be a part of. And it's just, you know, it's a lot of fun. It was really cool to see.
What are you going to remember most about this trip?
I think mostly I'm going to remember the history of Pittsburgh, just because we learned so much in such a short amount of time. And it was just, you know, great to learn all the history behind it and just see all the architecture and the effort and the work put into the buildings and all the different stone and, you know, themes in Pittsburgh. I think it was great.
What are you going to remember most about this trip?
I think I'll remember two things. First off, Nemacolin Resort was just like so grand and lavish that it just like took my breath away. And secondly, Fallingwater, because it was one thing to see so many pictures of it and learn a lot about it, but to actually like be there and see it in person was just ridiculous.
We're on the bus about an hour and a half away from Emmaus. I'm here with Miles Knopf. What was your favorite place that we visited?
I think I liked Heinz Chapel the most because it was just so awe-inspiring when you walked in the doors with the tall ceilings and all the stained glass.
If I could have your attention, please. I'd like to say a few words before we get back to school. I'll try to keep this short as I can. 12 years ago, I took my family to see Fallingwater. And when I got back to class over the summer in September, I showed the kids the pictures. And they all said, "Oh, can we go there? Can we go there?" And I said, "No, we can't go there. That's too far away. That's way too far away. They'll never let us go there." And then I thought about it, and I said, "Why can't we go there?" And we did. That was the first year we went. And it expanded into a 3-day trip, as you experienced in these last 3 days. And this is the 12th year. And it has evolved over time. And I tried to make it a trip that would be educational, of course, as a main goal. But you also know that I like to have fun. And I wanted you to have fun. So I wanted it to be a mix of education, a mix of fun. The best part about the trip, you've been asked that question. And I heard a lot of different answers from Fallingwater to seeing Mr. Didra stand in front of a Cherokee red car. Not a Cherokee red.
That was a red
Cherokee. And the favorite part for me is you. It's watching you have fun and watching you meet each other and watching your eyes open up when you see Fallingwater and all the other places that we went to. And I almost bagged the bonfire because I saw that you were tired and I knew we had to go back and change and come back to the bonfire. But you revived and you had a great time, and so did we. So I thank you for being really good, because you definitely were. You were narcs. You were nice, you were appropriate, you were definitely respectful, and you were courteous. And I heard that from all the places we went to. People told me that your kids are great, and that's what I love to hear. I thought I would try to do something for everybody that you could have and appreciate. And you may have seen these at the Fallingwater Museum store. It is the black Fallingwater with the Cherokee red print of Fallingwater, and I have one for all of you. So I would be remiss to not include someone who did an extra special thing for you, and he's always really, really great with us. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate having Jim as a 6th year now, 6th year in a row. But he did something last night that was really, really special, because he was basically off for the day, and I called him at, it was like almost 9 o'clock. Yeah. And I explained the situation, and he said, I'll do it. I'll make that happen. And he did, and that allowed you to go up an incline to see the great view that we had, and that's really special to Jim, so give him a hand. So you'll get all your things from the bus. You'll see the proper chaperone for your shirt size. I will greet you at the door when you leave outside. And once again, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Woo!
What are you going to remember most about this trip?
I think I'm gonna.
Michael, what was your favorite part of the trip?
Ja, meine Lieblingspart an der Treppen ist
Wait, are they called nationality rooms? Okay, that's my favorite part.
the bath soaps that they had were incredible.
I agree.
Best quality.
What was your favorite part of the trip, guys?
Definitely Fallingwater. Like, I know it's cliche, but it was one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen in my whole life.
It was really nice to skip school too.
So here we are in the bus on our way to our final rest stop. That sounds kind of creepy, doesn't it? Final rest stop.
Did you like the bath soaps from the first place we stayed in or the second place we stayed in?
Yes, that's correct.
Dana, frolic. There you go. Don't touch it.
Are we on camera? Are we on camera?
You are on camera. Doesn't someone have to dance? Yeah, you're the guy who has to dance.
Es ist eine große Zeit, ja, so wunderschöne Zeit.
And what about you, John?
I'm still eating my pretzel.
I just love the chandeliers. Look at them. That one's broken. Those are the chandeliers.
How was dinner?
Wait, we're just about to do that. You can't ask me.
Yeah.
It was good. You're ruining my fun.
Oh, that's way better.
That's bright. That's really bright.
I knew this was a bright idea.
Okay. In light of all of this, Mrs. Corolla, here we are on our final rest stop. Well, here we're not really.
We're going to it. You got it.
Take some.
This is the highlight of the trip.
Oh, hey, man.
Sprinkler. Really? Whoa, come on.
Here we are at Station Square. What are your initial feelings?
The merry-go-round is broken. I'm really upset about it.
On the way to our last rest stop. Yes, our final rest stop.
That's enough. Oh! Do you know how to say?
Wait.
Ooh! What are your feelings?
I really need a toothbrush.
You what?
I need a toothbrush.
So, Mrs. Corolla, here we are on.
We can't do this. We can't do this.